سياسة ما في البلد ده ما سياسة تجيب الوحدة البلد رغم الناس بيكذبين قال يا أخي كان نكون في وحدة وسلام وتعايش كل كلامات هاي لأن الواقع ذات السياسيين اللي ماسكين البلد ده حاجة ما في قلوبهم لأنه هم المفروض يورون الجنوبيين بالواحد كيف إذا ناس دخل في ورا بعضنا 16 وماشي من مشاكل بين العشائر ما انتهت مشاكل في أراضي البلد ده في ناس بيخش الناس لا اننا واحده وشعب واحد وواحد اور بيبول ده كله كلام ساكت قاعدين ودايرين الجنوبيين خليج بسلام صح كلام يعكس الروح الوطنيه بدون قبليه والعنصريه يعني العنصريه مليان في مؤسسات كراهيه مليان في كل محافل الدوله حاجات موجود ده ما جات بنكره.
Sounds of the week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, good afternoon. This is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. A political analyst has described the planned opening of Russian embassy in South Sudan as a positive step toward developing the country's oil and mining sectors. The management of Juba International Airport has commissioned 4 new drainage bridges in a bid to reduce seasonal flooding that has frequently disrupted airport operations during the rainy season. And the Minister of General Education has announced that the marking of Senior 4 examination papers will commence next week following a 6-month delay caused by the liquidity crisis. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Baria Johnson, and now the news in detail. A political analyst has described the planned opening of Russian embassy in South Sudan as a positive step toward developing the country's oil and mining sectors. Andrea Maj, an independent political analyst, speaking to iRadio this morning, said South Sudan could leverage Russia's advanced expertise in oil and gas to strengthen its own energy sector and maximize resource development. His comment came after South Sudan's ambassador to the Russian Federation said yesterday that Moscow is preparing to open its embassy in the Republic of South Sudan, but it's not clear when Russia will establish its embassy in Juba. However, this comes a day after the national oil and gas company Nilepet announced that it was near a deal with the Russian giant petroleum company to install oil pipelines and refineries for South Sudan. Maj said the opening of the Russian embassy will foster economic and security ties between the two countries.
Establishment of Russian embassy in South Sudan could benefit the two countries. Russian Federation is a rich country. It has vast natural resources, especially oil and gas. In fact, it has been supplying parts of Europe for many years. And I think Russian companies could help South Sudan develop its oil and gas industry. And they can also help us they can help our mining sector, especially in gold. In terms of politics, Russia have been a strong, reliable ally to South Sudan, especially in Security Council. And Russia also have been providing a scholarship to many African countries, including South Sudan. So I think opening of Russian embassy will foster economic and security ties between the two nations.
Andrea Maj cautions the government to balance its relations with friends like the U.S.
Government of South Sudan also need to balance its relationship with the Russian Federation so as not to upset Americans who have been strong supporters of South Sudan since years of liberation. It is a delicate issue that need to be handled with maximum care.
The management of Juba International Airport has commissioned 4 new drainage bridges in a bid to reduce seasonal flooding that has frequently disrupted airport operations during the rainy season. Captain Dao Majak, General Manager of Juba International Airport, says the newly completed bridges include Has, China Camp, Dalbit, and Nyang. According to Majak, the new drainage bridges will help in removing stagnant water and improve flight safety. He was speaking yesterday during the handover of the newly built bridges at Juba International Airport.
This is very important. It will help us with the flooding of the runway. I believe this year Juba International Airport will not experience such flooding like previous years. And we still have a lot of work to do. We still have future plans on still opening this and making more bridges so that we don't experience such floodings around Juba International Airport. The importance of this is the safety of the aircrafts, safety of people, and the security of these aircrafts, because we have had an accident some years back because of these floodings. Ethiopian Air was taking off and they went off the runway. So this is very important project.
Captain Dow said further plans to upgrade the airport's infrastructure and bolster its flood resilience are underway. The airport has experienced repeated flooding in recent years, often leading to flight delays. Last month, the South Sudan Civil Aviation Authority had to divert 2 commercial passenger aircrafts from Juba International Airport to Entebbe International Airport after heavy rain disrupted air traffic operations. The Aviation Authority said the heavy downpour resulted in low visibility at the airport, making it difficult for flights to land. The Minister of General Education has announced that the marking of Senior 4 examination papers will commence next week following a 6-month delay caused by the liquidity crisis. Minister Kuyuk Abul Kuyuk's statement comes as students who sat for the 2024 South Sudan Certificate of Secondary Education examinations voiced frustration over the continued delay in the release of their results. However, according to the Education Minister, although the funds for the exercise have been approved, liquidity challenges at the central bank have caused a delay in accessing the cash. He said officials at the central bank were working to resolve the issue. Minister Kuyuk said he was optimistic that next week exams markers will be able to travel to Juba and officially begin the marking process. He was speaking on state-run TV SSBC yesterday.
The Ministry of Finance have paid funds for this particular exercise, but unfortunately there is no liquidity in the bank. Colleagues in the central bank are doing their best to provide the cash, and we hope that by next week we'll be able to call the markers to Juba to be able to commence the marking of Senior 4 examination.
You are listening to iRadio Afternoon News. The former Undersecretary of the Ministry of Health has been appointed CEO of the Gudele Hospital. Dr. Harriet Pasquale spoke to iRadio this morning in a phone interview. She was welcomed officially this morning by the hospital staff. In a social media post, staff described Dr. Harriet as a wealth of experience with unwavering dedication to healthcare excellence. Dr. Harriet spoke to iRadio in an interview about the new position.
My new position as the Chief Executive Officer for Gudele Hospital is just a position I took actually yesterday, and it's a very important role for the hospital because we all know Gudele Hospital is one of the hospitals in Juba, which is a hospital which we are supposed to see it as a flagship hospital for the country. It was a hospital which was built by the Abu Dhabi Fund, with support from the Abu Dhabi Fund, and it's managed under what we call the public-private partnership with the Ministry of Health. So my coming in is actually just to give additional support to the team. So the hospital has been operating for the last 3 years.
The South Sudan Civil Aviation Authority is seeking to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology to enhance human capacity in the country's aviation sector. This is according to a report by Nigerian media on Wednesday. The report said the initiative between the South Sudan Civil Aviation Authority and the Nigerian Aviation Technology College is aimed at strengthening South Sudan's aviation sector through professional training and skills development. Dr. Judy Amadi, Director of Public Relations at the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology, says the move follows a directive from President Salva Kiir, who instructed the South Sudan Civil Aviation Director General, John Woja Elinana, to engage with the Nigerian institution for support. The South Sudanese delegation visited the Aviation Technology College headquarters in Zaria, where they toured the training facilities and expressed satisfaction with the available programs and experienced instructors. Dr. Danjuma Ismail received the delegation and commended their interest in the college at his office in Zaria. He said South Sudanese officials were presented with a variety of courses to address their capacity gaps. The report states that both sides were holding discussions with the signing of the MOU expected soon to kickstart training programs. And finally, former SPLM-IO Deputy Chairman Henry Odwar passed away this morning in Canada at the age of 78, his family has confirmed. The late Odwar serviced in the government first as a lawmaker in the National Parliament representing Eastern Equatoria and also a cabinet minister. According to his daughter, Awate Harriet, the late Odwar had been battling cancer since 2013. She further revealed that in the 3 days leading up to his passing, Mr. Odwar experienced a critical decline in his health, including a significant drop in blood and oxygen level. Awate spoke to iRadio this morning.
My brother was with cancer since 2013, and he died actually in Canada this morning around 6 South Sudan time. And it's on and off. Well, it started with just a boil growing like on his ear. So we actually didn't know, and we chopped it. So it developed, it happened to be cancer, and it affected his brain as well. So by the time he left South Sudan 2014, she wasn't hearing well, and he was on a wheelchair 2015 throughout till he passed on. So what happened that 3 days ago he lacked blood and the oxygen supply was low.
Awate described her late father, Henry Odwar, as the pillar of their family, a unifying presence who brought all members together. She remembered him as a man of peace, caring and supportive of those around him.
He's actually the pillar in the family, so he unites everyone, because when my grandpa passed on, my grandpa left him behind to take care of everyone in the family. So, and he's the one that has been uniting everyone in the family, and he has been so supportive, so caring and kind-hearted, and he's a man of peace.
Odwar joined politics as a member of South Sudan's National Legislative Assembly representing Eastern Equatoria. He chaired the parliament's committees on energy and mining, among others, before leaving SPLM in November 2014 to join the opposition SPLM-IO. Odwar was appointed mining minister in March 2020. However, he resigned in August 2021. The late Henry Odwar held a Bachelor of Science degree in Geology and Chemistry from Makerere University, Uganda, which he obtained in 1982. He later pursued advanced studies, earning a master's degree in geophysics from the University of Manitoba in Canada in 1993. Henry Odwar is survived by his 4 children. You are listening to iRadio News, and now for the regional and international news, we are joined by my colleague James Atem.
Thank you. In Sudan, another deadly attack on a hospital has left over 40 people dead, many of them children and medical staff. The head of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, called a strike on Al-Mujlad Hospital in West Kordofan appalling and urged an end to attacks on healthcare. The hospital was hit on Saturday near front lines in Sudan's ongoing civil war, now entering its third year. The Rapid Support Forces blamed the Sudanese army, an accusation also echoed by civil society groups. The army has yet to respond. In Kenya, police have deployed water cannons and fire tear gas to disperse large crowds of protesters marching towards Nairobi's city center. The protests mark the anniversary of last year's deadly anti-tax demonstration, which left several people dead. Thousands have joined marches in Nairobi and other major cities to honor those who lost their lives and to demand justice and accountability. And finally, Donald Trump insists Iran's nuclear program has been set back decades by recent U.S. military strikes, despite an intelligence report casting doubt on their success. The leaked assessment from the Pentagon's Defense Intelligence Agency estimates the attacks at the weekend set Iran's nuclear program back only a few months. But speaking at a NATO summit, Trump says the strike caused a total obliteration of Iran's nuclear sites. And that's the end of the regional and international news with me, James Atem. And now back to you, my colleague in the studio.
Thank you, Atem. And now to the sports news with Obaj Ukut Shagao.
In the world of sport, French football club Lyon has been demoted to Ligue 2, the second division, because of poor status of their finances. The French football finance watchdog known as NDGC made the decision after Lyon failed to prove they had improved their money situation. The club's owner, John Tedros, and his team met with officials this week but could not convince them. His company, Eagle Football Group, had earlier reported debt of over €422 million. In England, Queen's Park Rangers have named a new head coach, Julian Stepanov from France. The 44-year-old replaces Marty, who left the club on Tuesday. Stepanov is best known for leading his former club Rennes to a French Cup win in 2019, their first trophy in nearly 50 years. In the Club World Cup, Chelsea new striker Liam Delap scored his first goal for the club in a win against ES Tunisia. On the net just before halftime, shortly after defender Tozen scored the opener with a header from Enzo Fernandez free kick. Chelsea now moves into the knockout stages. Meanwhile, Arsenal is close to signing Chelsea goalkeeper Azablaga. The 30-year-old has a release clause of €5 million and is expected to compete with fellow Spanish David Raya for the starting spot. And finally, at the Club World Cup, New Zealand, Auckland City held Argentina Boca Juniors to a surprising 1-1 draw. Christian Gray scored Auckland's only goal of the tournament, earning his side a memorable result in Nashville. That is all from the world of sport, and back to my colleague Baria Johnson in the studio.
Thank you, Obaj. This is iRadio News, and to end this bulletin, here are the headlines once again. A political analyst has described the planned opening of Russian embassy in South Sudan as a positive step toward developing the country's oil and mining sectors. The management of Juba International Airport has commissioned 4 new drainage bridges in a bid to reduce seasonal flooding that has frequently disrupted airport operations during rainy season. And the Minister of General Education has announced that the marking of Senior 4 examination papers will commence next week following a 6-month delay caused by the liquidity crisis. That's the end of iRadio Afternoon News. If there is a story or an event you would like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 1:30. I am Baria Johnson. Thank you for listening.